Chelsea leaves Fairmont Crest determined to find peace. But the journey is never easy because the memories of Allison cannot be erased with just one trip. In the quiet nights, the ghosts of the past still haunt her, reminding her of the horrors she has experienced. She knows that if she continues to rely on Jacob, Kat, or Madison, she will never truly stand firm, but choosing to recover alone means accepting risks. The new paths she takes are full of dangers, and without those close to her, Chelsea becomes an easy target for those who know how to exploit fragility. The decision to leave may bring temporary freedom, but it may also inadvertently open up a gap for other enemies to attack Fairmont Crest, because it loses its symbol of unity, loses the reason to be on high alert. Meanwhile, Allison, though captured, does not disappear from the story. Losing power in the short term may not mean the end. She is used to hiding secrets, forging secret alliances, and sowing chaos in the most desperate situations. In the shadows of her prison, Allison may find a lawyer or accomplice willing to sell her morals to get her out, or at least prolong her influence. The notes, the fake evidence, or the psychological traps she set could resurface at any time, haunting Chelsea and the Dupree family. The question is not whether Allison is free, but whether the world around her is truly free of the poison she sowed. Jacob and Kat, after their resounding success in rescuing Chelsea, thought they could rest easy, but in fact they are drawn into a new cycle of danger. Their encounter with Allison and the exposure of her plot make them prime targets for forces that want to continue their ruthless path. Their relationship is not perfect. Personal conflicts or secrets can arise at any time, threatening the trust between the two. Jacob faces his own challenges when his feelings for Chelsea increasingly exceed the boundaries of friendship. In a moment of weakness, he can stray, turning the love triangle with Madison into a psychological burden, causing division in the group and shaking the bond that is the only strength to fight against danger. Madison must face another pain when Chelsea refuses to accompany her. This distance is not easy to accept because Madison's instinct is always to protect the person she loves. The possibility that she chooses to secretly follow Chelsea is completely possible, regardless of the other person's wishes. However, this stubbornness can turn Madison into a weak person, easily manipulated by Allison or another force. When the heart leads, reason is easily clouded, and Madison can inadvertently become the link that causes all the plots to flare up again. The gap Chelsea creates not only tests Madison's love, but also opens the way for a new character to enter, causing their seemingly steadfast feelings to waver. If that happens, both Madison and Chelsea will have to face bitter lessons about trust and loyalty. At Fairmont Crest, Chelsea's departure not only leaves behind memories but also creates a power vacuum. When an icon disappears, someone else will rise up, with their own ambitions to fill the void. It could be a character who seems to be on the sidelines suddenly rising up, taking advantage of the chaos to build a position. At the same time, the psychological scars Chelsea carries with her also become a haunting reminder for the entire community, forcing them to face the truth about the level of cruelty Allison once sowed. But the greater threat is the possibility that Allison is just a facade. If there is still a hidden force behind her that has not yet been revealed, what happens at Fairmont Crest is just the beginning. A more sinister plan may be brewing, and those who thought they were out of the woods soon find out that the game is far from over. The plot unfolds in an uncertain future, where personal recovery, inner conflict, and hidden forces all come together, leaving no one truly safe. Chelsea seems to have escaped but is still haunted by her past. Jacob and Kat seem heroic but are still trapped in their own conflicts. Madison seems strong but is vulnerable to emotional traps, and the Fairmont Crest community seems free but may be facing a new nightmare. All of this creates a thorny journey of recovery, where the line between truth and lies, safety and danger, love and betrayal is only a thin line. Chelsea walked out of Fairmont Crest in the quiet night, leaving behind walls marked by an indelible nightmare. Her decision to leave was not only an escape from painful memories, but also a test of her own inner self. She longed to find peace, but where could that peace exist when Allison's haunting laughter still echoed in her mind? When her hands that once trembled in prayer for freedom still held fear? The ghosts in her soul did not disappear easily. They followed her like a shadow, reminding her that once a terrible truth was imprinted, it could not be erased by mere distance. Choosing to recover alone had inadvertently put her in a new danger. Without Jacob to keep her spirits up, without Kat to face reality, and without Madison to lean on, Chelsea had made herself a target for invisible forces waiting to attack. Wounded people often carry a weak light that others can easily see and exploit. On the path that seems to lead to healing, she may stray into another vortex, where strangers will not hesitate to turn loneliness into a weapon. Fairmont Crest is no longer the same after she left. Chelsea was once a symbol, a victim, but also a warning for the whole community to stay vigilant. When she disappeared, that void became fertile ground for ambitious people to rise. Some saw this as an opportunity to control, to impose new power. The seemingly small cracks in the community began to spread, because the person standing in the middle reminded them that darkness could creep in at any time. That departure could inadvertently open the door for other forces, not Allison, but those who silently waited for the moment the community lost its collective strength. Meanwhile, Allison, though imprisoned, is still in everyone's minds. Her body may be locked behind bars, but her mind and calculations are impossible to lock down. Allison is used to preparing for any situation, and her capture may be just one step in a larger plan. Potential allies, unseen henchmen, or information she left behind like ticking time bombs could all come into play. No one can be sure that Allison has truly lost her power. Even in the shadows, she has had more time to hone her plots, to manipulate the legal system, to entice an ambitious lawyer to turn the trial into her stage. The notebooks, tapes, or codes planted before her fall may also suddenly resurface, reminding Chelsea and the Dupree family that Allison does not need freedom to sow chaos. Jacob and Kat thought that their victory in saving Chelsea was the end, but they did not expect that their success would make them targets. By exposing Allison, they stepped into the light, where other enemies could easily identify and target them. The two of them not only faced danger from the outside but also from within. Conflicts, unspoken secrets, cracks in trust could become deadly gaps. Jacob was especially tormented by his feelings for Chelsea, feelings that he tried to keep hidden, but that flared up strongly after witnessing her pain. The line between friendship and love is more fragile than ever. If Jacob loses his cool, if he lets his instincts lead, not only himself but also Kat and Madison could be caught up in a complicated love triangle. That triangle not only breaks down trust, but also opens the way for enemies to exploit, turning the strength of unity into a fatal weakness. Madison, who once stood by Chelsea with a steadfast heart, now faces rejection. Chelsea wants to go her own way, but Madison finds it hard to let go of her protective instincts. The intention to secretly follow Chelsea, regardless of her wishes, becomes an option that Madison constantly considers. However, that stubbornness can make her vulnerable to manipulation. Allison, or a new force, only needs a little gap to take advantage of blind love and turn Madison into a tool of destruction. In moments of weakness, Madison can inadvertently open the door for danger to return. At the same time, the distance that Chelsea creates can also become an opportunity for a new character to intervene, testing the seemingly steadfast love. When feelings are shaken, loyalty is questioned. Both Chelsea and Madison must face the truth that love is not enough to protect against the storm. The Fairmont Crest community is at a crossroads. Chelsea's death has left them with a mirror of truth. The psychological scars she left behind are a testament to Allison's cruelty, forcing everyone to look back at their own fragility. But in the dark, rumors circulate that Allison is not the only one. There is a force behind her, an invisible hand that has used her as a pawn, and now that she has fallen, that force is ready to step into the light. This makes every victory fragile, because what has happened is just the prelude to an even more terrifying song. Fairmont Crest, which seemed to have been freed, is facing a new nightmare, where every character can become a pawn, and every hope can disappear in the blink of an eye. Chelsea thought the road ahead was a journey of recovery, but in fact it was the beginning of another challenge. Jacob and Kat think they're heroes, but they're just ordinary people caught in their own conflicts. Madison thinks love will prevail, but a vulnerable heart is always an easy target. Fairmont Crest thinks it's free of Allison, but darkness still surrounds it as a new force prepares to strike. The whole story becomes a mirror to human fragility, to the fact that no healing is easy, no victory is permanent, and no love is immune to the test of time and danger.